Good morning, everybody. Could we please start with the first item on the agenda, which is the appointment of the chairman? Do we have a proposer?
Yes, I propose Councillor Bolton as chair.
Thank you.
And I'm happy to second Councillor Bolton.
Thank you. Councillor Bolton.
Thank you and good morning. This is the Licensing Subcommittee East Hertfordshire District Council, sitting on the 29th of June 2022. Item 2 on the agenda is apologies. Do we have any apologies for absence?
No apologies, Chair.
Thank you. Number 3, Chairman's announcements. If everyone can speak into the microphone, make sure the microphone is switched on and speak into the microphone, please. And secondly, we have a work experience observer, and I'd like to know if there are any objections from anyone in the room to them observing.
No objection.
No, thank you very much. Item number 4, declarations of interest. Do we have any members' declarations of interest?
None from myself.
No, thank you. Item number 5, summary of procedure. Those are on pages 5 to 11 of the documentation, which has been submitted well in advance. Everyone should have had a chance to read that. And we move to item 6, which is the application for a new time limited premise licence for Stone Valley Festival South by Integrated Entertainment Limited at Hillside Farm, Hillside Lane, Great Amwell in Hertfordshire, which starts on page 12 of the pack. At this point, we need to pause because no one has attended. Could I take advice either from the legal advisor or democratic services? Please have the appropriate notification been sent through.
I can answer that. The appropriate notifications were sent to all parties on the 15th of June 2022, and again the agenda packs were sent by Democratic Services last week. And
they're also online on the public website. Do we deem that good service? I think that's 2 weeks in advance. And the applicant has made applications before, so they would be aware of where to look and what to do. Is that correct?
For the applicant and at least one of the interested parties, that is correct, yes.
Thank you. Madam Legal Advisor, where are we legally on proceeding, please?
Chair, provided you are satisfied that service of the papers has been affected, then your options are either to proceed, which you can do based on the papers before you, or alternatively adjourn if you've had notification or a request to adjourn, which you haven't in this case.
Thank you. Members, are you happy to proceed?
Yes, I am.
Yes, I am.
All right, we're prepared to proceed in absence then. Okay. Right, perhaps the licensing officer can make their report, please.
Thank you. Good morning to you all. Contained in the papers in front of you is the full report outlining an application for a new premise licence under the Licensing Act 2003, Section 17. This can be seen between pages 12 and 21 of the agenda pack. As you've already seen the report and the accompanying documents, I'll provide a brief summary on the application and the representations received. On the 8th of May 2022, an application for a new premise licence was received from the applicant, Integrated Event Management Limited, in regard to a festival to be held at Hillside Farm, that's in Great Amwell. The proposed application seeks the following licensable activities to be granted. This is live and recorded music, performances of dance, and the supply of alcohol on and off the premises between 1100 and 2300 on a Thursday to Sunday, with late night refreshment between 2300 and 0100. The application was originally requested a restriction of 11 days per calendar year. However, during the consultation period, this was reduced to 3 events per year, each consisting of a maximum of 3 days. The application can be found in Appendix A, which is between pages 30 to 59 Regarding the steps to promote the licensing objectives, the applicant has stated, which can be found specifically between pages 45 and 51 of the agenda. These include that all operations will be carried out in conjunction with a comprehensive management plan, that there shall be a comprehensive management team of at least 8 senior managers, and they'll be at the event at all times. There's to be a risk assessment to be produced for the event, which includes crowd management, a minimum of 4 personal licence holders to supervise staff providing the supply of alcohol, and a suitably sized SIA licensed security personnel wearing body-worn camera. The event has clear and comprehensive terms and conditions to maintain a safe environment, including but not limited to drugs policies, prohibited item policies, and search policies. The capacity will be set at 4,999 persons. Electrical appliances will be pack tested and a comprehensive medical contractor present. Competent contractor will also be appointed with a review of all risks relating to noise pollution and noise management, and there will be use of a noise management plan. The applicant will employ a cleansing team to remove litter and waste from the premises and nearby areas, and shall operate a no trace policy. They will use Challenge 25 and a policy covering the protection of children from harm. These are further supported by conditions agreed with environmental health as detailed in Appendix B, which is pages 62 to 66 of the report. These include noise levels to be limited at 65 decibels LA equivalent over 15 minutes, not less than 1 metre from the facade of noise sensitive dwelling, at 70 decibels 15 minutes at 63 and 125 hertz octane bands. A detailed noise management plan and measures to be with the local authority no less than 3 weeks prior to the event taking place. The noise being monitored to carry out the event alongside any complaint logs to be provided by the council no later than 14 days following the close of the event. During the consultation period, 3 representations has been received regarding this application, 1 from the parish council, 1 from the local ward councillor, and 1 from a resident, and they all have concerns over noise, so therefore engage in the prevention of public nuisance licensing objectives. The representations can be found in Appendix C, which is between pages 67 to 70 of the bundle. The report looks at the East Hart Statement of Licensing Policy, the revised guidance under Section 182 of the Licensing Act 2003, and provides information submitted by the applicant and the interested parties making representation. And the subcommittee should determine the application with a view to promote the 4 licensing objectives. In determining the application, the licensing subcommittee should consider if you believe the applicant has provided evidence that the license, if granted, would promote and not undermine the licensing objectives. If there is, this evidence should be balanced against the evidence given by those that have made representations who believe that the licensing objective would be undermined. If members believe that the application would not undermine the licensing objectives, then the application should be granted as requested. If, however, you feel that there is evidence that in granting the licenses would not promote the licence objectives, then it's within your remit to take action as appropriate or proportionate to address these concerns. These actions include adding conditions or taking any steps, including limited hours or licensable activities. However, if there's no steps that you believe can be taken, then you may refuse the application in its entirety, but this should be the last resort. The subcommittee's determination should be evidence-based, justified as being appropriate for the promotion of the 4 licensing objectives and proportionate to what you intend to achieve. That concludes my report. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do any members have questions for the officer?
Not at this time.
Thank you.
No, we have no questions. Thank you very much. At this point, we would be asking the applicant to make any submissions. They have not come, so we will have to take the papers as read, the documentation that we've received. So if we move on to questions for the app, or the questions we would have asked the applicant had they been here, please. Councillor Simons, you have questions for the applicants, please?
Yes,
Oh, thank you, Madam Chairman. Yes, I'm just wondering about the security. I hear you've got, I know you've got 4 entrances and exits, and I'm wondering if you're going to employ male and female security staff. If you could answer that, please.
Well, obviously we can't, but that's a question
Can
that
I
should be.
just,
Okay, are you
please?
able to answer?
yeah, all I can say is previous events, it has been a mix.
Thank you. Did everyone hear that question? They answer. Councillor Simons, any other questions?
Yes, I have. Will you have somebody patrolling the perimeter as well to keep unwanted visitors out? Thank you.
Is the licensing officer able to respond?
As the applicant's not here, I can't appropriately respond. However, I would expect so.
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
No, thank you, Madam Chairman.
Councillor Hall, do you have any questions?
Not at this time, Chair.
Right, thank you. Questions I was going to ask. The applicant has agreed with Environmental Health that the number of days is no longer 11 per year. It's going to be 3 festivals of 3 days in length. I would like to know about the sound checks, whether they are included in those 3 days or would be extra. Would they be the day before? And if so, when and for how long? Has this already been happening? Have there been complaints from residents about the sound checks? Pause for Democratic Services to write all that down. And then I would also like to know whether the campers are arriving, if there are any campers arriving the day before on the sound check days. And whether that has been a problem for residents as well. Has there effectively been a mini festival the day before, or have they been very short soundtrack checks? The other question I would like to ask, the applicant has already run 2 3-day festivals this calendar year since January, with conditions laid down by Environmental Health. I would like to know whether there's any evidence of whether the applicant was or was not compliant on those last 2 occasions. It's possible Environmental Health would be able to answer that, but they're not present either. But presumably there's a compliance log. I don't know if anyone else, perhaps the licensing officer, is able to respond on this matter.
Okay, so regarding, I'm going to do your sound checks first. Sound checks aren't actually licensable activities. As such, yes, they could be done obviously the day before. It is understood from a previous application that there was a complaint from one of the interested parties regarding a sound check that took place over 1 hour the night before. Regarding complaints of the events of this year, I had a meeting with both the police and Environmental Health last week. We have a partnership meeting every few weeks, and neither responsible authority raised that as an issue.
Thank you, that's helpful. We'd then be asking if there were any other questions from anyone else, but no one else has attended, so we'll move on. The responsible authorities also have not attended. There were 3 objections raised on our documentation from other parties, which we would ask them to make any extra submissions, but they have also not attended. Note that there was a submission from the ward member of Great Amwell. They raised questions about the plan for waste and noise management. That has been covered in the environmental health conditions, and it would be covered by the event management plan. We're not able to ask the member if they're content with the response on that, as they're not here. There was a comment made by the parish council and a resident. One of the questions I would have for them is about the wind direction, whether there's any update on the issues they were concerned about wind direction, and whether any complaints were made. I don't know if the officer is aware of that, a licensing officer is aware of that or not.
No, again, I go back to say that Environmental Health haven't raised any complaints directly to licensing.
Okay. If I could also ask the licensing officer, there have comments been made by the parish council about the use of the field and the number of days events are being held on the field. Could you just confirm that that would be a matter to be dealt with by the planning department rather than the licensing?
Yes, I refer you to the officer observations, specifically item 3.6. Licensing and planning are deemed separately, even though obviously some things are do obviously overlap. An applicant can apply for a license with different hours or different restrictions to their planning consent, and this can be a license can be granted if the subcommittee feel this would not undermine the licensing objectives. The applicant would then need to apply for the appropriate planning permission or planning consent, or could face possible planning enforcement. This is echoed in paragraphs 14.64 of section 182 guidance. This application, as in all applications, are consulted upon within the planning department, and in this case, they raised no objection.
Thank you, that's helpful. Councillor Simons, would you have any other questions?
No, thank you, Madam Chairman.
Councillor Hall?
Not from me, Chairman, thank you.
Thank you. We would move on to closing statements. But I don't know that we do closing statements if no one's here. So I think that probably finishes the hearing as far as we can go at the moment, given non-attendance. So we'll move to adjourning to make a decision. Okay, well, we'll adjourn. Thank you. You're late. We started. In fact, we finished now. So we have heard this hearing in absence. And so we've got a decision that we're making. Okay. Are we ready on the? Okay. Having noted that neither the applicant nor the interested parties have attended the hearing, we've listened to the report presented by the Senior Licensing Enforcement Officer. Having reviewed the application and the written representations submitted by the Senior Licensing Enforcement Officer and the interested parties, we have the Licensing Subcommittee have determined to grant the application subject to the following. Number one, to grant the premises license sought for, which was the supply of alcohol for consumption on and off the premises Thursday to Sunday, 11 till 2300 hours. Number two, late night refreshments Thursday to Sunday, 2300 hours to 1 a.m. Recorded music Thursday to Sunday, 11 till 2300 hours. Live music Thursday to Sunday, 11 to 2300 hours. And performance of dance Thursday to Sunday, 11 to 2300 hours. To accept the conditions agreed between the applicant and Environmental Health. To amend conditions 8.6 and 8.9 of the applicant's proposed conditions. 8.6 first, it's the fire safety plan, was it? It says first safety plan on here. It's the fire safety plan in line with the recommendations set by Herts Fire and Rescue. 8.9 waste management plan in line with the recommendations set by the Environmental Health. Under the prevention of public nuisance, to amend the first line to reflect the change in the reduction of the duration of events to 3 events per year, each consisting of a maximum of 3 consecutive days as opposed to the 11 days per calendar year originally sought. A signed decision notice will be sent to the parties within 5 working days. Parties will have a right of appeal against this decision. Details of how to appeal will be noted within the decision notice. And that's it. Thank you very much, everyone. No urgent business. The meeting is now closed. Thank you.